Hello. We want to welcome all of you to the Bartlesville Public Library. Again, today we're starting at 1 o'clock sharp. We thank you so much for being a part of what we're doing today. We are having a retirement financial planning presentation 101, and we're excited about that because, you know, many of us do not know how to manage our money, much less plan for the future and our retirement. We're so excited to have Terri Taylor with us today. She is going to discuss general financial retirement planning issues. Do you have any of those issues? I bet you do. Terri's titles include Senior Vice President of Arvest Wealth Management, and she's also the Senior Client Advisor in Investments. Terri began her financial services career in 1989, and she holds a Bachelor of Arts from the University of Oklahoma and a Bachelor of Science from Pittsburgh State University. Terri is a certified trust and financial advisor. Terri has also served on many boards here in our community. Terri has a really interesting way that she likes to position herself to work with her clients. She loves helping individuals and families plan for their financial future. She focuses on helping them achieve their dreams and goals with holistic strategies for their wealth management needs. And I'm excited to hear what a holistic strategy is. She utilizes a wealth management process with all of her clients and believes that by using this process, she is going to help them make their dreams become a reality. Are you totally interested now? I am. I'm very excited to introduce to you Miss Terri Taylor from Arvest Wealth Management. Thank you, Terri.
Well, thank you. That was wonderful. Yes, I am Terri Taylor from Arvest, Senior Client Advisor. I'm today going to talk about 6 things that that you need to do for financial planning. This is our disclosure page. Very important for compliance reasons. So the home stretch. We're in the home stretch, getting ready for retirement, things that you're going to want. So a lot of people think that the legacy that you're going to leave is just going to be pictures, videos, letters, stories, but no. You want to plan for your future so that your beneficiaries and your children are not the only ones wondering what to do with all your things that you've left. So planning really helps. The true meaning of life is to plant trees under whose shade you do not expect to sit. I like the saying, Nelson Henderson. So we've got 6 things that we're going to do to put in your legacy box. 1, determine when the time is right to retire. The next is take aim at your retirement target. What that means is how much you're going to have, what do you actually need in assets in order to retire at the level that you want to retire at. Get a portfolio checkup. A lot of people have, assets at different locations. It's a good idea to have a broad picture of what your assets actually are so that you can actually know what you have to plan for your future. Number 4 there, create a Social Security strategy. Social Security can be tricky. There's different things to look at, when to take it, how much am I actually going to use it, is it going to be most of my money income at retirement? Anyway, and number 5, look beyond the money. Retirement is not just about the money. What are you going to do? You can't just sit around. Everybody goes, oh, I'm going to go to the beach. Well, going to the beach 365 days a year may not be exactly what you thought retirement would be. And number 6, make sure and have all of your documents in place. So there are several documents that you want to have, will, different things, and we'll get into that. So the first thing, determine when the time to retire is right for you. So I have a few little funnies thrown in here. So did financial planning, it looks like I can retire at 62 and live for 11 minutes comfortably, and then I'll be, fishing at the beach instead of just living. Okay, so we're going to look at a little bit of the history. The godfather of retirement is Otto von Bismarck. He was a gentleman in the late 1800s in Germany. He's a German chancellor. He created the old age and disability insurance law. What this law did was provided basically a pension for people when they turned 70. Now, in 1890, the percentage of people that lived to be 70, not a lot. They generally died around 43 years of age. So it worked well for the German government there, but not so much for the retirees. So he didn't have a lot of people sign up for it. So in our country, we have in 1935, we had Social Security start. Our average age of retirement then was at age 65. It is about that same age now. But in 1935, the average age of people living was around 60. So now, life expectancy is now about 80. So people are living about 20 years longer than the Social Security was meant to cover. So at what age do you think you'll retire? So they did a survey, and people that thought they were going to retire at age 55 actually retired at 58. They realized that the cost of health care, which is a big component, I mean a huge component of when you're going to retire, they have to wait because Medicare doesn't start till 65, and health insurance is just expensive. They realize their nest egg's not big enough, or their expenses are higher. They want to make sure and pay their house off. Anyway, so they wait a little bit longer. On the opposite side, people who told the surveyors that they wanted to retire at 65 actually retired earlier at 63. Their health was bad, or they become unemployed, or they met their goal early and could go ahead and retire. So the average age there is about 61. The point being here that you don't know, you can plan for a certain age, but expect basically the unexpected. You can, it doesn't have to be a firm date until you get right to the end. Nearly half of people retire in their early 60s, about 46% between the ages of 61 and 65. And then 15% on either side of that. I have a lot of clients that retire really between 55 and 60 because of the town, a lot of employees at Conoco and Phillips. And so they retire a little earlier, and so they've got to take into account that health care expense. Other people love their job and want to continue working. I even have people in their late 70s absolutely love their job, and that's what they live for. And so it depends. It's not for anyone or everyone, whatever age. It's your personal choice. Another important thing is for couples, because women live longer. So in 1978, let's take for example this couple here, got married in 1978. The average age of marriage then was 24 for the guys, 22 for the women. And so it's a 2-year age difference. So looking at when they actually retire, he hits 65, he's on Medicare. She again is not yet. She's got to pay that health insurance unless she's working and has it at her own place of business. Just something to think about. Even now, even though kids get married later in their 30s, that 2-year time difference or age difference is still very predominant. And then you look at, when the average age of gentlemen die, they die in their early 80s, mid 80s. Women live longer, about 5 years longer. So you got to plan for that too. They're going to be, that's where long-term care insurance comes in, or other, planning for that kind of thing. So important ages in retirement. So at age 50, you can actually start doing what's called catch-up contributions. And these kind of change every year. The government allows an increase most of the time, not always, but sometimes. And at 55, you're usually eligible to get distributions from a qualified employer plan. At 60, you can do the Social Security eligibility for widow's benefits. 59 and a half, that's when you can start taking money out. If you retired early, you can take it out of your 401k or IRA without a 10% penalty, which is very nice if you retired early. 62 is the first year you can start taking Social Security benefits. And 65, you can sign up for Medicare. That's an important age. You've got 3 months either before you turn 65 and after to sign up for Medicare. And they are very firm on those, so it's important dates to know. Most people now, they've already hit 65, so 66 to 67 is their full retirement age. And at 70 is the maximum that you can get Social Security benefits. They don't keep increasing after that. Now, I will say that this year they did change to do required minimum distributions. You don't have to start taking those until you're 72. Some people really, they don't need that extra money, so they're living off other income. So they don't want to pay the taxes. That's what that is. They like to wait. So the next part is to take aim at your retirement target. This is, what your assets are. And we're going to do better than this guy in the 3 lotto tickets. That's not really considered very good assets to have, unless you're super lucky or you go to the casino a lot. That's not good either. So rule of thumb number 1, there are 3. You want to have, it's going fast now, hang on. So save enough to generate 70 to 90% of your pre-retirement income. And so that's like I said, general rule of thumb. So income needs are different in retirement. You have maybe your mortgage is paid off, things that could go down. Transportation costs are less, clothing expenses, you don't have to buy the work clothes or go to the dry cleaners, and you're not eating out as much. A lot of people start cooking from home more often. Rule of thumb number 2, and this is a very conservative general rule of thumb. Everybody, let's say you have $1 million and you can plan on taking 4% out of that a year. But let's say, reverse that, you want to have an income of $25,000 a year or $50,000 or $100,000. We're going to kind of do different amounts. So what you'll need in order to withdraw 4% over the next 20 years, and you want to be, and you're deathly afraid of the market. You think that it's just going to completely go down and never come back up. You want to do something, a very safe investment, about a 1.5% return. This is what you're looking at. So if you wanted an income of $25,000 a year, you're going to have to save $500,000. If you want to have an income of $50,000, you're going to have to save $1 million, and $100,000, over $2 million, you're going to have to save if you are afraid of the market and just can't take the stress. And I understand. Some people are like that. Let me say, though, that cost of living and inflation is higher than 1%. So that's why you need so much more money, unless you're going to put some money in the market, because it's just inflation and stuff will eat it up. 30 years from now, when bread's $20 a loaf, you're going to wish you'd put something, a little bit in something else. But this is just an extreme example. If you put the whole thing in, 1.5 to do 1.5. If you did a 5% return, look at the difference there. $25,000 a year income, you only have to save about $400,000. $100,000, you only have to save a little over 1.5, and that's with the 5% return. So another important thing is, if you are working somewhere and there is a 401k plan, you want to save there as much as you can. So let's look at this example. This gentleman is 52. He has an income of $150,000 a year. His wife doesn't work. She's a stay-at-home mom. And he contributes $19,000 to his 401k or 403, depending on where you work, your retirement plan. Simple is another kind of employee plan, and then a SEP IRA is for somebody who works for themselves. All right. So, and like the amounts, these changed too. So actually this year, 19,000 was 2019. This year, the total annual contribution is 19,500. For the simple IRA, it's 13,500, and the SEP changes too. So they change a little bit every year. You want to make sure that you're contributing the most you can. A lot of people put into their, or they can at their work plans, an annual increase, which is a great idea because it takes into account the maximums, and you can always hit those if you can do the max. Not everybody can, but if you get toward the end and you've got the kids out of college and you're just working to retire, put as much money as you can in there. So your employer plan puts in, you contribute 19,000, you've got a match for your employer, and then because he's over the age of 50, he can do the extra catch-up contribution, which this year, as I mentioned, is $6,500. The simple actually did not change, it's still $3,000. But that way, look at all the money you can contribute, if you could, if you could put that much money. It's a big number. So if you can, like I said, put money in. Otherwise, if you just wanted to contribute to an IRA, it's only, $7,000 a year that you can put in there. So this is a lot better option if you can, if you have it. So number 3, the portfolio checkup. So it's kind of different. Here we go. Another fun joke. Before we discuss the status of your employment or investment portfolio, make sure you don't have a heart condition. All right, so if you were born between the age of 1957 and 1964, people have changed jobs on average 12 times. So let's say you started this one company, you moved to this one. Employers have been setting up automatic contributions to 401ks for a long time. Used to have, everybody had a pension, hardly any companies have pensions anymore, or if you get hired on, they don't do them. They might have when you first started, but they don't, for new employees, they don't do them anymore. But everyone will have 401ks pretty much if it's a bigger company. But you have, 401k at this company, that company, so you have them at different locations. And like I said, 60% of them have automatic enrollment. A lot of people don't even know that they have those until they get the statement. Sometimes they miss the statement because they've moved. So what you want to do is you want to contact your companies that you work for to see if you have them. Because the problem is it's your current location and you think you're 3 years, 5 years from retirement, and you go, okay, I know my asset allocation's good. It's, what I want to do is 60% stocks, 40% bonds, which is a wonderful allocation. It's kind of in the middle. But you've got previous jobs, which was all stocks, and then your second job was mostly stocks. So when you really look at your actual asset allocation, you're 90% stocks, and you didn't even realize it. So that's a really a great advantage to having a financial planner, or at least somebody to help you look at your overall portfolio. Sometimes you don't realize what you have and how you're invested. And it makes a difference, especially the closer you get to retirement. So let's say you have too much invested in stocks. You're 3 years away from retirement, you've got $900,000 saved, you want to get to $1 million, and it's the year, and you're on a projected, you think you're going to make it, you got an 8% return, but it's the year 2000, and you don't realize that you're over allocated to stocks because you haven't done the portfolio review. It's going to take you down because if you're in too much stocks, the year 2000 and the tech bubble took a long time. It's 3 years to get out of that bubble. If you had readjusted your stock portfolio, recognizing that you're about 3 years or 4 years to retirement, and put it in half stocks, half bonds, look how much better you would have been. You would have had $870,000 versus $584,000, and your target, remember, is $1 million. So if you just worked one more year and kept it in the 50-50 deal, you would have recovered and got over your million. If you'd left it in stocks or didn't realize it, it would have taken you 4 years to recover. I will point out here, everyone recovers. It's just a question of time. So on the other end of the spectrum is people that jump completely out of the market, which is not good either. And I have people that come in and they are, especially at this time right now, we're in an election year. It is very volatile out there. The swings are enormous. It's $500 or 500 points a day up and down, and it's up right now, but could be down tomorrow 500 points. So they want to get out of the market, and I totally understand the fear of losing all your stuff, but just you want to talk to somebody about that before you do that, because the question is, you get out, when do you get back in? What is the time frame? What does the market look like at the time that you want to get back in? That's the hardest part. In 2009, when we had the financial crisis, lots of people got out because they were very, very afraid, and they didn't get back in, or they didn't get back soon enough. Some people never got back in. I had a gentleman come in 2000. Well, it was 10 years later, 2018 actually, almost 10 years. And he had 8 years he'd been in like CDs and stuff. So he missed that whole upturn on the market, and then gets in 2018, which happened to be a down year. It was dismal. But he's stayed in there now. He's done very well. I'm very glad that, and he just needed someone to talk to. And that's why I'm saying it's very important. I'm not sure, everybody has their expertise. Talk to somebody who is in the business, if you're afraid. So, jumping out of the market, I'll show you what happened here. So they get out, and in 2009, here, this is an example. So the stay in T-bills, they never get back to $1 million. And if they'd stayed in the market, even at the 50% stocks, they come back in 2 years. Totally back up to where they want to be and can retire in their 3-year time frame. And you can see the T-bills never recover. They're guaranteed. And there's a place for them in everyone's portfolio, but it just shouldn't be the whole thing usually. Okay, another thing to do is update your beneficiaries whenever your life changes. So you have 401ks, IRAs, life insurance, a lot of other things out there that you have beneficiaries on. In Oklahoma, you can put a beneficiary on your home. So get married, you might want to put the new spouse on as a beneficiary, kids, and a trust. So number 4, Social Security strategy. This is a kind of a fun one, and it's great because you paid in all these years. When are you going to get your money back? That's what a lot of people want to know. And you got to have more than the birthday card to prove that you're 65. Social Security Department is not like the IRS. They are not much of jokesters, really. One of the big misconceptions on Social Security is that, oh my gosh, I get this all the time. We're going to run out of money. We're never going to have enough. Social Security isn't going to be there when I retire. That's really not true. There may be some changes to it. They may change the age from what it is now. Your full retirement age is 67 to 70. There could be some other things they could do, but it's not going to go away. Currently, and they never talk about this, we have had a surplus in Social Security for many years. Now, this year is the year that it's kind of the break even, where we're going to not have the surplus anymore. That will actually be hitting the inside parts, but and then they expect in 2035 for the surplus to completely run out, and then there's two schools of thought, and of course Congress or government is probably not going to do anything until we actually have a crisis point, but in this year 2035 is when they project this will happen, because people are still paying into it, and baby boomers, they're using up a big part of it because it's a big population of people that are taking the money out. However, they paid into it all those years. That's why there's a surplus. So one of the things they might do is say, okay, instead of 100%, we're going to only let you take out 80% of the benefits that we promised you, which is not going to be a good one. I think what probably they'll do is increase the taxes, and what the proposal's been out there is a 2.78 payroll tax increase, and that'll be split between the employer and the employee. I would imagine that'll be the least painful. Nobody's going to want to take an 80% or 20% cut in their Social Security, especially if you're already getting the benefits. So, acronym FRA. That means full retirement age. So if you were born before 1952, it was obviously age 65. And then they did these months things, so 66 and 2 months or whatever for each year. Then after age 19, or after year 1960, if you're born after 67, is your full retirement age. And that means a couple of things. So at full retirement age, you can continue to have a part-time job. You can make however much money you want to at the part-time job and still get your full Social Security benefits. You will be somewhat taxed on them. But if you take a job before your full retirement age and you're drawing Social Security, you can only make a certain amount of money a year, or they take back the Social Security. So that's just something, again, to plan for, because a lot of people in retirement, they want to work and do something, not their regular job. They want to start a new business or whatever. Another important thing to do or to think about, is when to take Social Security. And there's obviously two schools of thought on this. When I'm talking to clients, I always ask them, okay, one, do people in your family live a long time? You know, are you going to need the money right away? Because if your family lives in their 90s, you might want to wait to take Social Security, because it goes up every year that you wait until age 70, and then it doesn't increase after that. So always start taking it at age 70, because it's not going to go up anymore. And this is the maximum. So you can see here, it's not a huge amount. I mean, so no matter how much money you make at age 69 or whatever, $34.57 is the most that you will get out of Social Security. And that's only if you worked for 35 years at the highest salary or whatever. Here's the averages. And this is what most people have, because like I said, it averages, your pay quarters to determine what you're actually going to get. So if you're 62, you could retire and make $1,300 a month, or you could wait until you're age 70 and get 23. So that's $1,000 increase per month if you wait, but that's 8 years. And so, the question becomes, do you really need that money? And whose money are you going to use? So this is my strongest argument to taking it early. Again, I say this because, you can either use the government's money or you can use your own money. And you're going to use somebody's money to live on. If you use the Social Security money that you've paid into for all those years, you can allow your money that you have invested to grow. Granted, they're both going to grow. It's just a question of, let's say you died at age 66 and you were going to wait to take Social Security until 70. You've been using your money this whole time, so you have less to give to your beneficiaries. Again, it's a combination, and everybody is very unique in when's the best time to take it. But there's other things to think about. So, like I said, if your family lives a long time, maybe you do want to wait, because it is more money. But if you make it till the 80s or something, you might want to start taking it earlier so that you can leave your kids more money if something happens to you. All right? So income replaced by Social Security. This is another interesting statistic, is that if you make $50,000 a year, they expect Social Security to replace about 50% of your income. So remember, you're trying to make between 70 and 90% of what you're making before retirement in your after retirement years. If you make $100,000, Social Security should only replace about 33% and on. So if you make $200,000 a year, you should plan on Social Security only doing 0.25% of your total income. So your investment should make up the rest of that, or whatever else you're doing. This is the funnest one for me. So it's not just about money when you retire. You can't buy happiness, but you can buy bacon, which is about the same thing. I tell you, I'm not quite ready to retire, but I did start planning for my retirement. So last year I started to learn to play the guitar. And oh my gosh, I am not very good, but that's why I started early, so that when I did retire I could actually, play some songs. But everyone should have something that they're going to do. And if you're between the ages of 45 and 55 and you're feeling a little anxious or depressed or something, it's because you're not alone. That is the highest stress points for people. That's why I kind of call it a midlife crisis. You have your kids are out of college and have moved back home, or your parents are ill and they've moved back in, or your job is stressful, or you just don't know what you're going to do. It's just a stressful time. But rest assured, it's going to get better. And people in their from 55 on up, they just feel more peaceful. They're more happy with themselves. And again, though, it's a kind of a planning thing. You want to find out what makes you happy. Happiness factors in retirement are a couple of things. And I'm sure everyone's heard, well, if you're not healthy, it's no fun being retired. So join a yoga or walk with friends, or find something that some kind of hobby or some kind of activity that's fun to do. Bicycle ride. There's all kinds of things here in our area that you can do, that the little groups that are out there. Join one of them. It goes into the friendship deal too, and family. I started a book club many years ago, and those are some of my dearest friends. Some people call it wine club, but we do read. And then family relationships, friendships, and health. All these things are very important in retirement. It's said that if you don't have strong friendships or family relationships, and you kind of isolate yourself when you're retired, it's like you've lived the life of a full-time smoker, and you have the life expectancy of a full-time smoker. So it is more important to have those friendships. Important to have money as well, but if you could just have one or the other, you should probably just go with friendships and health. The longest life expectancy people in the planet are in Japan, in Okinawa. And they have kind of a different way of looking at it. This is called I'm not going to say it right. But basically what it means, ikigai. Basically what it means, it's whatever you live for, what gets you up in the morning, what makes you go, yes, I want to have this day and live the best life I can. And kind of what their thought is there in Japan is, it's a combination of the things that you love and what you're good at, sometimes what you can be paid for, and what the world needs, So it's kind of a combination of, and this is how they look at it there. Maybe this is why they live a long time, probably they eat a lot better, but it's a combination of these things that make it their passion. So, like I said, this is just as important as any of the other things we've talked about. I can't tell you how many of my clients get to retirement, within 2 to 3 years they are dead, because they haven't fully developed what they're going to actually do. They travel, I'm going to travel, and they do for 2 or 3 years, or 5 years even. But to get burnt out on that, unless you're like an adventure travel, these guys here in the picture, you just want to enjoy it. You want to have something that you're, again, passionate about. contributing to a cause. I have many clients that do this in town. They are members of Concern, or they work out at Goodwill, or whatever they're passionate about. They help with, and it makes your life fulfilling. Visiting family and friends, pursuing hobbies. We have a great art association in town, and great theater. We have many things to do here that people can take advantage of these things. It's not everyone that gets to live in a fabulous town as we live in here, especially for people that are getting ready to retire or going back to school. We have universities here too, and pick something. There's lots of stories about people that have gone back to college and started a whole nother career. You think about it, you retire between 60 and 65, you're going to live another 25, 30 years. That is a long time. It's a third of your life. You don't want to just be sitting at home not participating in the world. This is an example of things that people over the age of 65 have done. So Peter, at age 73, invented the thesaurus. Colonel Sanders, of course, everybody's heard of him. Age 65, he got the secret recipe for his fried chicken. Madonna, she's called the Iron Nun. Now, she started training for triathlons, which, let me just tell you, I probably won't do that, but I know people who do. But she started training for that in her 40s, and look at that, age 82, she still completed a triathlon. Grandma Moses, she didn't even start painting until 76, world-renowned painter. And the gentleman at the end, he, at the age of 70, climbed Mount Everest and then beat his own record at the age of 80 and did it again. I can barely breathe when I go to Denver, so I cannot imagine climbing Everest. But look at all the things these people did. And you can do that too. Just know that, find something that you love, and it'll make your retirement years so much better. And now for a little bit of the tidying up things. One of the best things to do is having the proper documents when you retire. Like this poor turkey getting ready for Thanksgiving around the corner. Yeah, he probably needs to review his estate plan. Here's another reason to have a trust. There, I can give you lots of trust stories, but trusts are very, very good things to have. Anyway, this is one of them, the daughter-in-law, Lucy. Personal shoppers on speed dial. Her poodle owns more designer clothing than you do. She suggests upgrades to your place every time she comes over. Her happiness is measured in carats. Anyway, so the 5 documents you need to have is a will. A will is a legal document that provides instruction on how your assets are held. Now, a will is very necessary. However, it is not all-encompassing, and it's public, and it has to be probated. So if something happened to you and you didn't have your beneficiaries, you didn't check your beneficiaries correctly or whatever, you forgot, it would have to be probated. And it's really, with a little bit of planning, you don't have to do that. It doesn't have to go to the court. That drags it out. It's expensive. But you need to have a will. Durable power of attorney. This is somebody that, this is for when you're still alive, but something has happened to you. You're out of the country, you can't sign a document, or you've been in a bad car wreck and you can't make a decision. You need a durable power of attorney, and I mean everyone over 18 needs a durable power of attorney. Because who's going to pay your bills? Who can make decisions for you, you know, if something happens to you? So everyone needs a durable power of attorney. These are not very expensive to get. You can go to your local attorney. You can get some of them online. They need to be on your checking accounts, your investment accounts, and you just need to have one for general other stuff, all right? The thing about these is if when you die, it ceases. So you need to have them while you're living. So there's 2 kinds of power of attorneys. There's this kind, and there's the one for your health, medical This is the person that makes decisions for you when you're unable to do so. Now, I know I know a lot of families, they have one child who does the health decisions and one child does the financial power of attorney. They don't want them crossing, for whatever reason. One child's more compassionate than the other or whatever. It cracks me up. But you can have the same person be both of these or not. Again, this ceases at death. Advanced will, or sometimes called a living will. This is a document that you use. So again, I'm always full of good news sometimes, but if you're in a coma, what's going to happen? Who's going to make those decisions for you? And this is not a do not resuscitate. This is, I want to have water. I want someone to give me food. I want, respiratory help, whatever the thing is. Or if you really do not want to be resuscitated, but this means if you have a heart attack, they do not resuscitate you even from that. So that's why it says on here, this is not a not resuscitate. This is life-sustaining things. How much help do you need? And then the last thing is a revocable trust. When you do a trust, a lot of people think, oh, I've got to have a lot of money for a trust. Not always. Trusts are very good for families who have had divorces and remarriages. Let's say you want to make sure you've worked your whole life, you have your 401k, you marry later in life the love of your life, but you want your children to get what your assets are. That's why you have a trust. That's why you check the beneficiaries on your will or on your accounts, so that your assets go to who you want to. And you control the trust until you can't. But you can have trustees manage your stuff. If you don't want to do it anymore, they can pay your bills, they can do all that stuff. Anyway, they're very, you can do anything in them. I've had clients, they want to make sure their kids are not on drugs or whatever, so they only get the benefits of the assets if they take a drug test, or they can't get any of the assets until they hit age 25 or 35 or whatever the age limit is. You can make these, very detailed. Attorney does have to write these up for you because they are very personal. But once you put things in a trust, this avoids probate. It's totally private. You don't have to go to the court system, or your heirs don't have to go to the court system, or you don't have to go for your parents. So there's many reasons to do a trust, but again, talk to a financial advisor. They can kind of help you determine if it works for you, or if you don't need it. So the things to put in your box, we'll just do it. When are you going to retire? Find the right time. Make sure that your target, how much money you want to have to what your income wants to be. Get a portfolio checkup. Make sure that your assets are allocated correctly for what your risk tolerance is. Check your Social Security strategy. Really important, look beyond the money. Find something that you love to do for the rest of your life, because, as I said, it's another big part of your life and you want to enjoy it. And then make sure you have the documents. That's a little bit of the boring part, but you do want to have that. In the end, it's not the years in your life that count, it's the life in your years. I love this. Abraham Lincoln. Thank you very much. Questions?
Okay. You had mentioned a financial advisor, financial planner. Is that the same thing?
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
Is there certain, if I was looking for a financial planner, number one, what would I expect a financial planner to help me to do? And then number two, is there any type of certifications I should be looking for in a financial planner?
Financial planners, there's many certifications. I'll do that first. Like I said, I'm a certified trust and financial advisor. There's CFAs, which is certified financial advisors. There's chartered financial advisors. There's many different ones. They all specify a little bit different, but overall, they are all good. you know. And yes, you should look for somebody who has some kind of training, you know. The other thing that's very important is that they're a fiduciary. A fiduciary is, of which I am one, but a fiduciary is somebody who looks out for your best interest. It's not about, you know, how we get paid or any of that. You want to make sure that whoever you're talking to is not working for themselves, but they're working for you. And the most important, I think one of the best ways to find someone, because there's a lot of people that are, go talk to them, make appointments, go see 2 or 3 of them. Pick somebody that you work well with, you know, that you feel like you can trust. There's websites out there that you can go out and see if they've had bad reviews. There are talk to friends. I mean, there's a couple of different things, but those are kind of the most important.
So,
But a holistic, like I said, I try to do all of these things. So I'm insurance. I can sell insurance, long-term care. So I want to make sure that you have the correct life insurance to pay off debts. Holistic means that I look at, like I said, the whole picture. Your loans, debts, assets, you know, everything that you have in your life, really. What your beneficiaries are, what you want to do for them. That's kind of what you want in a financial planner. Even though it's just financial, it's not really. You want a life planner, essentially. You know, you want to make sure that whoever you're working with knows exactly what your goals are and can help you meet them.
Is that someone I would bring like a portfolio, do a portfolio review with, to see what assets I have and
Correct.
think about how to reallocate them for the future?
Yeah, you just take, if you have a statement from your 401k or other IRAs or other investment accounts, yeah, gather those up and take them to a financial planner, and we have lots of software that run analysis, and then we can determine, you know, what's the best thing for you. So.
I did want to mention that we do have a database at Library Card with us you can use, and that's Value Line, to be able to look at that type of information. And then I believe they also have on there some type of training to learn about investing.
Yeah, there's lots of really good things out there to do that.
Oh, Terry, I had a question. These are small questions.
Sure.
Talk a little bit about the required minimum distribution in Social Security.
Okay, required minimum distribution. This is on basically an IRA, a traditional IRA. So at the age now of 72, you have to take basically, it's about 4% out of your IRA and pay taxes on it. So the government wants you to pay taxes. On a Roth IRA, there is no required minimum distribution because you don't pay taxes on it. So it's only on a traditional IRA. But every year that amount increases a little bit because their plan is for you to pay back those taxes that you owe the government.
Okay.
And so that's why.
And also, if you go on and take your Social Security at the mean age, which would probably be about 66, because we talked about 62, 66, and 70.
Right.
Are there some cost of living increases that can accrue over those years?
Yeah, it's about 8% that Social Security increases if you wait. Is that what you mean? If you wait to take it. But every year, well, not every year, but most years the government increases Social Security about the cost of living. So I think this year is about 2%, I believe.
It's
so.
usually about 2%?
Correct.
And that's about it?
Yeah.
And how many people do you know that have successfully started a business without losing their investment at that late date in life?
That is a great question.
Yeah.
I don't know I can give you an answer.
Okay.
On that. Now, I do know some who have started businesses, though, and they are successful. I do know some that are not. So I think in starting any business, and I've run my own businesses before, Some successful, some not. I won't go into a trucking company again, let me just say. But I will, there are lots of good businesses out there, but when you're starting any kind of business, you want to do all the research. The best thing to do is to go to work for someone that's in that business to see how it actually runs, you know, before you just jump in and say, oh my gosh, you know, I'm gonna, whatever the business is gonna be, sell dresses or whatever. You know, you want to make sure that that's really something you want to do. I've had people go, oh yes, I can be in a retail business. But retail businesses are open every day. I mean, except for the COVID world, but you know, they're open all the time. They don't realize that. They think that, you know, whatever. But yeah, that's that's a good question.
Right, they can end up working more than they were
Yeah.
originally.
And a lot stressful, you know. Yeah, you if you're going to start a business, find something that you really love to do and just make sure that you know all the things there are to know about it before spending money on it.
Fantastic answers.
Thank you very much.
Terri, we appreciate you being here so much. This was so informative.
Oh, thank you.
I learned so much, and financial planning is such a subject that people need to know about. We hope you will come back to the Bartlesville Public Library and share with us again. And would like to pick your brain one more time.
Okay, thank you.
So all of you who joined us today, thank you. And we'll see you next time. Bye.